Hey everybody, Rex Bear Leak Project. How the heck are you? It's a beautiful day out here in southern Colorado, except for they're spraying the skies like banshees. It would be blue skies today, but they've been spraying so much coal ash and other wonderful particulates because they love us so much that they want to give us a 5 to 15% better chance of rain, or I guess snow, because it is the snow season. It is the snow season, ladies and gentlemen, but it's just a checkerboard. They're painting the skies, and I wanted to talk to you about the podcast that I did yesterday with Wal Thornhill, an incredible podcast in reference to the electric universe and the origins of these incredible canyons, not only the Grand Canyon here, but also Scar, Face, Mars. I also want to let you know real quick that there's some awesome deals right now. Check out the specials if you go to virtualshield.com/leak project. It is a virtual private network, so it's a VPN that keeps your information anonymous when you surf the web from big data spies, and it's less than $4 a month right now. So check it out, virtualshield.com/leak project. Okay, now let's go back to the podcast real quick. I want to talk to you about the brown dwarf hypothesis of Saturn. Was Saturn our binary star? I believe yes. I believe the answer to that is yes now. So a lot of these ancient hypothesis stories, if you add Saturn into the mix, or I should say ancient scriptures that describe astrotheology in forms of beings and characters and superstars, a lot of people even depicted them as extraterrestrials, myself included. I think that I still definitely believe in ET. However, I think a lot of these old stories that are preserved in history depict the gods and the battles in heaven, meaning the planets in heaven, the electric universe hypothesis, incredible comets, etc. Saturn being the binary star to the sun, and now being a gorgeous planet with incredible rings and fascinating moons. What caused that to happen? What caused this incredible switch in the galaxy for such drastic changes? And how long ago do you think it happened? Now, with that said, time is your perspective in a sense, because time is infinite. So what is your perspective on the timeline? It doesn't make it any more or less important. It's fascinating to think about an infinite universe of electric currents that change in different forms and frequencies that cause these incredible phenomenon. Also, I'd like to add to that. I'd like to add something to that. Different frequencies. If you have a different frequency, that if everything is semantics in a sense, and you manipulate the frequency at a very powerful level, like at a planetary scale, once the planet changes frequency, do all the planets surrounding that planet change frequencies as well? I'm still fascinated and attempting to wrap my mind around how Venus was ejected from Saturn and then did that incredible flyby at approximately 12,900 BC, or the last ice age. And if our ancestors worshipped Saturn as the sun god, as Ra or Re, then that changes the entire architecture of not only our origins, our ancestors' origins, who and what they were worshiping. Oh, wow, that was a beautiful hawk that just flew past. Did you see that thing in the corner there? That was huge. It changes everything. And then if we can figure out what frequency each planet resonates, like what's its overall frequency, then maybe we could study that frequency and connect it with hermetics, mind over matter, think it, you create it. Yeah, that was just a fascinating interview. And the way that he described comets, Wall Thornhill, the way that he described gravity is fascinating. I need to go back and listen to that because it makes the most sense that I've heard thus far. I'm surprised he doesn't have millions of subscribers on his channel. The Thunderbolts project is just fascinating. And the more I uncover these ancient petroglyphs in these four, like Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, the more I realize they were seeing the same thing. And there's been people that have brought up in the past about how some of these cave paintings and these petroglyphs seem very archaic in comparison with the Mayans, the Aztecs. And you're right. However, it was a completely different culture. And I think the reason is people were seeing things in the skies, and they weren't necessarily these incredible artists with the paints that they were using on the rocks, but they just wanted to write it down real quick and show what they were seeing. So I'm going to be doing a lot more research into this phenomena, because if it happened in the past, why can't it happen again in the future? I will say I do appreciate the optimism that Wall has, and I've been having this lately as well, with all the doom and gloom about the year 2030, not being able to grow crops outside, it being too cold, the magnetosphere being too weak. And then there's the opposite side of the spectrum where Dane Wigington talks about the geoengineering, how it's going to manipulate the planet so much that it's on fire and it's burning up. And yes, there are tons of fires going on. Yes, the weather is extreme, and I think it's going to balance itself out. And I also think a lot of this is the manipulation of the atmosphere, the stratosphere, the chemicals, etc. And I think that the planet has a natural way, what's a safeguard to keep things aligned and in perpetuity. Another thing that I thought was fascinating when Wall was describing how all planets could potentially be stars depending on the conditions. Plasma physics is incredible, these different currents, etc. And in just a minute here, we're going to be going past Chimney Rock. Chimney Rock is a really neat landmark that the natives built a civilization and structures around it to celebrate total lunar eclipses, because the moon would go up in between Chimney Rock, and it was fascinating. There's so much history out here, so much that has been lost. And at the same time, our minds seem to pick up on this stuff when we research it, if we allow it to. It's like these downloads, these Akashic downloads, and it's fascinating. But can you imagine looking up at the sky and seeing these huge figures, these plasma figures? What would be the best way to describe them? As gods, as beings of great power. How many times has this happened in the past? How many times will it happen in the future? Is it just going to be a perpetual cycle within a cycle within a cycle? I know I'm asking a lot of questions, but I'm also answering these questions as I'm asking them in my mind. I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and your opinions. So many great opportunities. Think about how much you've learned over the past 3 or 4 years versus the past, let's say you're 45, the past 40 years previous to the past 4 years. Let's say you're in your 50s or your 60s. I mean, do you notice a difference in how much you've learned over the past few years? Is it increasing? Whatever your age, 30s, 20s, whatever. The majority of the people that follow the projects, podcasts, are in their, about my age demographics. It's like 99.5%, 99.8%, 21 and over. It's just beautiful out here. Cold though. It is cold out here, my goodness. I gotta get used to that. So Wallace says he doesn't see another ice age coming. What about you? Ice age? Storm age? Or I was going to say paradise, but I can't even say that anymore. I don't even want to say that anymore after that horrible fire that devastated paradise. I mean, how symbolic is that? Now, if you follow those fires, you think paradise, and it immediately, neurolinguistic programming links you to that fire in paradise. Especially if you've lost a house out there, or you've had to go, or even worse, lost someone that you know, or a family member or loved one, my condolences. There's going past Jimmy Rock right now here. There's hardly anything out here in Southern Colorado. I love it. Except for, well, I shouldn't say except for. Thank goodness there's not a lot of industry, business. There's not a lot of commerce out here. This is God's country. This is the divine's playground out here. No wonder there's so many cool paranormal sightings out here. UFOs, ghosts, ETs, because it's just a cool place to be. And once again, there's hardly anybody out here. So you can drive for hours out here and see no fast food restaurants, see no giant blockchain stores. It's great. And on that note, be excellent to each other. I'm going to drop off the mobile studio back at the RV rental place. I want to thank the RV rental in Durango for a good price, a good deal on this RV, even though I wasn't really able to use it that much. Going back to pick up Frankenstein. That thing is a beast. You can beat the hell out of that thing and it'd still drive through war zones and back. There's a reason it's called Frankenstein, ladies and gentlemen. Nanny.